have been inserted, other things have been removed. And that's exactly what we have in this situation. If you actually look, and I know it's hard to see, and I apologize for that, you have a line, formerly very diagonal, very strong. Now it just sort of meanders down. Whoa, big shift over to the right, back down, big shift, goes down. Note, it's going down, not at this 45-degree angle. It's actually steeper. That means more and more things are getting inserted. When you have the line get steeper, stuff's been inserted. When you have the line go horizontal, stuff's been deleted. And you can see it. You can see it quite fast. And various formats and various patches actually have different outputs. And you can actually see this on files on your own machine. If you grab like the Microsoft Visual C runtime, 7.0 versus 7.1, you just see these things, new code that got shoved in. Actually, this is interesting. You see code that's actually been repeated. Who has a laser pointer? Yes, do that more. How many times do you go to a talk and hear that? But yeah, you know, why might you be seeing, look at this thing right here where you have a second line horizontally aligned. There's code repeated. Cool. So you can actually use this to do diffing. So one of the things I did, and I have to apologize, I have video, but I kind of sort of don't have Xvid drivers on this laptop, so I can't show it. What do you think happens if, you know, I've got these fuzzers, which can also be thought of as really bad patchers. So I've got these fuzzers, and I take my file, and I fuzz it, and I visualize it, and I fuzz it again, and I visualize it again, and I fuzz it again, and I visualize it again. What do you think happens? Well, if I'm actually just using something that's doing single bit flips, my image gets fuzzy from my fuzzer. But if I'm using CFG 9000, which is actually shifting blocks around, shifting symbols, note how with Mangle, which is Ilya van Sprundel's depressingly effective fuzzer, you still have that sharp diagonal line. With CFG 9000, that thing is just getting thrashed. And you actually get much deeper corruption of your source data. And there will be video on my website later. So, can we visualize and compare fuzzer operations via dot plots? Yeah. Visual fuzzing actually does show differences between files, including the differences introduced by fuzzers. We can see exactly what's going on. The goal at some point is to actually have a fuzzing GUI, Visual Fuzzer 2007. And you'll just see it as an image, be like, that looks cool. You'll highlight it, and that particular block will start turning all fuzzy and changing around. Whenever the code crashes, it'll turn red. So I bet no one thought I could go through 80 slides in under time. Questions? If we actually do have some spare time, I'll just do some stuff off the top of my head. I actually did strip out a fair amount from my other talk. But why don't we do questions on this stuff so far? Anyone? Go ahead. Why don't you go up to the mic, because, or else no one will be able to hear it on the tape.
Are you aware that the diff algorithms are working exactly like your pictures?
Am I aware that they're, yes, where the picture shows a difference, there's actually a difference. And unlike a normal diff where it becomes a huge mess if it phases in and out of being identical, with this, if it's only a little different, that white dot just gets a little more gray. Yeah, you have to have large-scale structural differences in order for the diffs to actually have a visual effect on the similarity break.
As the algorithm works exactly like the picture, so you're trying to get a path to the picture to find the diffs. Mm-hmm. And the good thing is now you're doing it in your brain, I think, and not on the machine. That's
exactly. Cool. We've got hardware. Let's use it. Go ahead.
The stuff you mentioned early on about scanning for prioritization in routers, have you actually got anything you found via that? Routers that are, or is it theoretical at this stage?
Well, like I said, I can do it. I have the bandwidth. If you have an IP, I have scanned you. I have scanned every IP there. I get the best emails. However, I'm not willing to go ahead and deploy a scan that actually DOSes lines or causes an effect on service, which is why I'm actively looking for things I can scan with that don't take out anything. And that's what I said. Like, when I find something that can do these scans worldwide without actually negatively impacting people's connections, oh yeah. Until then, what I'm probably going to do is deploy some website that you go to and sends you a file, and while it's sending it to you, it's spoofing things from various people. And then it's monitoring the effect on the TCP session. Because at that point, I think I've gotten consent from the endpoint to go ahead and flood them until packets drop. Because that's what TCP would do. I am very careful when I'm scanning the entire internet. Believe you me. Any other questions? So maybe I'll talk about why I'm going to hell. All right, so check it out, right? It's a few years back. It's my first talk, and I go ahead and I present on dynamic forwarding in OpenSSH. This basically lets you do SSH into a host. You can use it as like a VPN concentrator. So if you have SSH access somewhere, great. You can surf the web, move your instant messaging, do all these great things. But there's a problem. When you're doing all these great things, you're still doing your DNS lookups locally. So if you've got some bad guy on your local network, and you're trying to get out of your local network because you don't trust your local network, I can't imagine why that would be the case here. You may be going out, your TCP sessions may be starting from some foreign, safe, wonderful land, but the location you're going to is under the control of the local bad guys. That's not good. So we got SSH patched so that it would accept names instead of just numbers, but the web browsers kind of sort of, Mozilla will do it if you pass it some secret flags, and IE not so much. So the problem is this hole has been around, and if you really don't trust your local LAN, you can't use SSH like this. So I've been trying to deal with this. And I actually finally did figure out a way. So SSH does not move UDP sessions, and DNS normally goes over UDP. SSH, by the way, can forward all these types of connections. It can move web, it can move IM. It can't normally move DNS over UDP because it doesn't understand UDP. But DNS doesn't have to go out over UDP. It could go out over TCP. If you just tell it, no, why don't you try again in TCP? Holy crap, it'll actually do it. So I made a stupid little name server that runs locally that you use as your name server, and you say, every time your machine tries to do a lookup, you go, no. Don't do it locally, don't do it here, don't do it over UDP. Why don't you retry over TCP? And then, bam, SSH can forward it. SSH can forward your DNS. This is not yet why I'm going to hell. 2 years ago, I implemented SSH over DNS. So you could do your web surfing over DNS and your instant messaging over DNS, and it used this same functionality. Well, what happens if we combine, SSH over DNS, DNS over SSH? You actually end up with DNS over DNS. I'm so going to hell. Malkovich. One last thing, just a piece of advice. I did a huge SSL scan. If perhaps you are building a honeypot, you might not want to put an SSL search on the honeypot that is honeypot.yourcompany.com. Now, I was looking at my data, and I thought there was just one company that did it in Japan. Oh, no, there was two. And they're in Berlin. I am so giving them a call. Can I speak to your IT admin? Anyway, we have any more questions? All right, guys, track me down later. Thank you so much.